The human nervous system operates on a survival architecture designed for a world that no longer exists. For our ancestors, adrenaline was a life-saving response to a predator in the shadows. For us, that biological alarm remains locked in the on position. Because the body cannot distinguish between an ancient physical threat and a modern psychological one, we live in a state of chronic stress. Our biology is effectively rehearsing for a war that ended 10,000 years ago, fueling constant inflammation and anxiety. Ancient yogic texts, specifically the Yoga Sutras, claim to possess the exact methods to deactivate this alarm. For decades, materialist science sidelined these claims as religious mysticism. That changed with the advent of neuroimaging. Researchers finally gained the ability to test these ancient protocols by scanning the brains of practitioners with decades of experience. The Yoga Sutras provide a precise phenomenological dataset for the deconstruction of the human ego. Modern science is only now creating the instruments required to register what these rishis reported thousands of years ago. This is the default mode network, biological headquarters of the ego, generating the internal narrative of me. Judson Brewer monitored its core, the posterior cingulate cortex, while medicators did nothing. During deep focus, this region went completely dark. Deactivation correlated directly with hours practiced. This provides clinical error bars for the ancient goal of citta vritti nirodha, the cessation of the fluctuations of consciousness. The storyteller can be switched off. Beyond the internal narrative, the brain actively maps a physical boundary between the individual and the rest of the universe. It creates a constant neurological sense of separation. Andrew Newberg's research utilized SPECT scans to observe Franciscan nuns and Tibetan practitioners during states of deep absorption. The scans showed a massive decrease in activity in the superior parietal lobe, the region responsible for orienting the self in physical space. In this state, the feeling of being separate from the cosmos literally loses its neurological scaffolding. Research from Sarah Lazar's team at Massachusetts General Hospital found that 8 weeks of mindfulness physically shrinks the amygdala, the brain's threat center, while increasing thickness in the areas associated with interoceptive awareness. The body votes for peace by reallocating its cortical real estate. It shrinks the structures once needed for survival, expanding the capacity for internal calm. If the brain stops telling the story of me, ceases mapping the borders of the self, and shrinks the centers of fear, what remains? Richard Davidson's EEG recordings of Tibetan monks revealed a state previously thought to be biologically impossible. The EEG showed sustained hypersynchronous gamma waves, high-frequency oscillations associated with the binding of reality into a single resonant field. These waves occurred at amplitudes never before recorded in a healthy brain, maintaining perfect coherence across the entire cortex. When the technician noted the readings seemed impossible, the monk replied that this is simply what occurs when the observer and the observed become one. Modern science calls this hypersynchronous gamma. The Yoga Sutras call it Nirvikalpa Samadhi. They are two languages describing the same territory. These findings present a profound irony. The very technologies born from a materialist worldview are proving that matter alone cannot explain the nature of consciousness. Consciousness acts as an active sculptor, changing physical brain tissue and regulating immune markers with surgical precision. The state of your mind determines the structure of your cells. Because science has now verified these specific protocols for deactivating the selfing system, you are no longer biologically condemned to live under ancestral terror. The instructions for rewriting your nervous system have been documented for 4 millennia. We now simply have the scans to believe them. Tonight, before sleep, run an experiment. Spend 15 minutes in Savasana, corpse pose, and notice the sensation of breathing. Every time the mind attempts to spin a story about your life, return to the felt sense of the inhale and exhale. As the internal story grows quiet, ask yourself one question with genuine curiosity. What remains when the separate self under threat disappears? Do not answer with words. Answer with your nervous system. The sutras and the scanners agree on what you will find.